Hello, welcome back. I hope you're doing very well. This is the Korg Wavestate. It's a 64 voice digital synth that I've been using for a little while now, and I've come to absolutely love it. It's one of the most fun instruments I've ever played, really. For a few reasons, I think it's one of the best companion synths for the Akai Force or the MPC, or even something like the Maschine Plus or Elektron Octatrack, anything standalone. I think it's an absolutely wonderful companion. There are two reasons for that in particular. So what I'm going to do is very briefly show you those two reasons and how they work and why I think it's a great companion for a standalone production box. So let's get on with it. So the first reason I think the Wavestate is such a great companion to the Force or any of the other standalone boxes is because of the way the Wavestate works. It's a wave sequencing or wave or sample sequencing synthesizer, which basically means it plays samples instead of having traditional oscillators. The way it's set up is each patch, which is called a performance on the Wavestate, has 4 layers. And each layer can have a sequence of samples that can be short or long. And each of those sequences has 6 sequencing lanes: timing, which controls how long each step plays; sample, obviously, is the sample that plays on that step; pitch, shape, a bunch of other stuff. If you've ever used a Elektron box like the Digitakt or the Octatrack, it's a similar sort of thing as the P-locks you have. Each step in the sequence can be set to a different parameter. Now what that means is the Wavestate is very good at making evolving sounds or sounds that change, because each of these sequencing lanes can be a different length, it can have different loop points, and you can have a different sequence running on each of the 4 layers. So it's really good at making complex evolving sounds. For example, this pad sound here. Sounds like something straight out of a soundtrack. And if we go to the step sequencer, sorry, let me just change patches first. If we go to the step sequencer and put it on samples, or pitch in this case, we can see what's going on. So if we play this other patch here, this is the sequence that's running in the pitch lane, which is why it sounds like a arpeggiated sequence, basically. One of the other things that's brilliant about it is that because when you start the synth up, it loads all of the samples into RAM, the changes between patches or performances instant. Not only is it instant, you can actually switch from one to the other and keep the previous one playing. As an example, I'll now switch to another patch. The first one is still playing. So as a performance thing, that's absolutely wonderful. It's very easy to move between patches or performances as you're performing quite seamlessly. I think that's absolutely wonderful. But it's this kind of sound here that I love. To me, that sounds almost like something you would need a massive Eurorack setup to create. Just the variations and the randomness and the almost generative quality of that kind of patch, I think, is wonderful. And it's really nice to sit at a desk and just mess around on this and create a patch that sounds interesting, do some sound design, and then sample it into the Akai Force and just chop it up. So that's my number one reason why I think this is absolutely wonderful as a companion for the Force. So the second reason I think the Wavestate is a brilliant companion for something like the Force is as a sound module. The 4 layers that it has don't have to be used in conjunction. If you pick one of these layers and we look at the settings for it, just in case you're wondering how to do this, if you turn off global MIDI, it allows you to assign a specific MIDI track to each of these layers, and you can then put whatever your sound you want on it. And each layer has its own effect setting, so you can apply pre-effects, which is things like compressors, mod effects, chorus, that kind of thing, delay and so forth, and its own volume levels. So it's basically like having 4 polysynths all sat in one place, and you can apply a different sound to each one. So on the Force, you'll see I've got 4 MIDI tracks set up with some rubbish sequences, I have to say. I didn't take much time on this. So if we just play, this is the first layer playing bass. Second layer comes in with some drums, because this is a sample synth. It's got loads of drums on it as well. We've got a pad come in. A little melodic sequence as well. And as an added bonus, the vector joystick allows you to pan around all of these sounds, which is another brilliant performance tool, just sort of almost for mixing, where you can drop stuff out. It's just brilliant. It works as an absolutely fantastic sound module for the Force. So to sum that up, I absolutely love the Wavestate. As I said at the beginning, it's one of the most fun instruments I've ever used. It's just a joy. It's like playing a video game. I've spent hours on it. I think because of the kinds of sounds you can make from it, it can do traditional synth sounds and no problem at all. But those sequencer lanes and the modulation and the differing sequencer lengths and the generative nature of it, I think if you've only got enough money or enough space for one synth to be a companion to your Force, MPC, Maschine Plus, whatever it may be, the Wavestate is really worth looking at, because it can do loads of stuff, as I said, as a sample source, as a performance tool, as a sound module. It's just brilliant. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Thanks very much for watching. There'll be some more of these videos coming up, so if you like to see them, please subscribe, like, and do all of that YouTube nonsense. Cheers, thanks a lot, bye.